First of all, I'll talk to all of you who are watching this on video. I shall be talking to the people who are present here, but also to you. I'm talking about being in the present now. So whether I look toward you in the camera, you're included. What came this morning to talk about was I watched a video from Lowe Melchizedek. And it connected me with something that's been happening in the last few days. I felt a major shift. And it feels as big as any shift I've ever had. The last big one was when I stopped traveling and came to live here permanently. And this shift is about letting go, not holding, not being available, not being appropriate, to hold on to a certain level of how we see things in this dimension. And that includes the personal. For some people, it's still appropriate to keep looking at the personal. And I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the few of you that will resonate with what I'm saying, because this has already started to resonate in you. It's already started to vibrate. It's waking up. What you came with that remained dormant is starting to wake up. What I've seen in the last 40-odd years of traveling was talking to people, first of all, to bring like-souled people together, people who are compatible with each other at a certain level, to bring them together and to be available for and this isn't a judgmental term, but the mundane level as well. Because I've been through all that, I know what the struggle's like. So to be as available as possible to that level. But that's not the main thing. The next thing that the talks have been about up to now has been to try and help you to see where you're holding. Because it's where you're holding that is creating your feeling of misery. The holding, the resistance is pain. And so it's been an attempt to help you to see where you're holding and hopefully you not to hold any longer. And that's because something is happening on this planet. And it's going to start in a big way this coming year and last for a few years. And it's a transition. And we've had transitions on this planet many times. Many things have happened, and species have come and gone. We've had major earth changes, come and gone. And we're leading up to another really big one, where we are going to have what seems to be a choice of evolving or dropping back to a more dense level so we can see our situation more clearly. So what I've been attempting to do in this time is to try and see if you can see that for yourself, because the people I'm talking to now have this possibility, this vibration inside that's starting to awaken. It's like a seed that's been dormant and now from everywhere. The nourishment is coming and the seed is awakening and growing. And for most people it's very tenuous and very fragile, but it is awakening. Now this is what seeing isn't quite right. I don't see it, I don't know it, I just sense something is coming to this planet, this dimension, that at the moment we don't have the facilities to understand or even connect with. We have absolutely no idea what's coming, because what's coming is going to be so different. We don't have the facilities awakened in us to connect with it, to recognize it. Now what I'm saying is not true, and if you go on Melchizedek's site, you'll see the drum below is talking about these things as he has spent time with the Aboriginal people who are still in touch with the land, with the Mayans and many other people, that elders, wise people that he's taught, they all know. And not only do they know that they don't know. They know that they know to a certain level, and they know that they don't have the facilities to see what's coming, but they know it's coming. And they're more in touch with it than we are, because they're still in touch with the land. They're still in touch with nature. They're still in touch with that alive level of life. They're in touch with it. Like when the big tsunami came some years ago, some native people that were living on the islands, they went up the mountain, and so did their elephants, but they didn't know why, because there'd been no earthquake and there'd been no tsunami. But they knew they had to go up the mountain. They're in touch. We've lost touch. The people, most of you I'm talking to, you've lost touch. The West has lost touch. And there's nothing wrong with that, because we have developed something that they haven't developed. But in the process, we've lost touch with what they've got. But it's still there. It's just, it's dormant, it's atrophied, it hasn't been exercised, but it's still there. And what I feel is coming is going to be very, very powerful on many levels. There's going to be physical stuff, but that isn't the main thing. Something is going to, and already is, happening in some of us. Some of us are already feeling. We're getting ringing in our ears. We're waking up vibrating. We are having strange thoughts come by. We're doing things that are spontaneous even to ourselves. We're saying things, we're doing things. We're getting up and moving, and we don't know why. We're awakening. Now, when this energy comes, this is how I see it. It is going to be so powerful on so many levels that if you haven't, old-fashioned word, purified, it's going to be very, very painful. In fact, you may die to this dimension. It's going to be very strong. And it's going to awaken the people who are not holding, who have taken care, who are not now focused on complaint, resentment and revenge, all these lower frequencies, because this energy is going to activate everything. So it's going to make everything stronger. So if there's still old stuff there in a way, if there's still the resentment, if there's still the, even regrets, but certainly complaint. Complaint is not responsible. It's going to vibrate it so strong, that's where you'll go. So what I think I've been attempting to do over this time, I say I, but I feel we. I don't feel alone. It's as though there's more to it than that. It's it, whatever, speaks through here. Melchizedek, John below Melchizedek talks about the heart. activating the heart and coming through the heart. What I heard him say today is, we all know that. We all know that that's the way to be. I don't think we do all know. I think there's quite a percentage of people that have absolutely no idea what is meant by the heart. They are sociopaths. They have, as science has been saying, 20% are born with their DNA or genes in such a way that that part is not activated. It's there, but it's so asleep. Now, many of you are on the cusp. You're in between. And some of you have passed over already. You're now moving into the heart. Now, you can tell whether you've moved into the heart in a major way because you'll be giving back. You will be there for people. Your life will become secondary. Some people need to still be looking at their own life. They still need to be looking at their personal stuff to see what's in the way so that they can take care of it. But some of you have already passed over. And then it's a matter of supporting that, nourishing that, being available for something bigger than yourself. Because if not, you'll go the other way. Mothers get this chance. Actually, very few take the chance. But mothers get this chance because when a child is born, the child is more important than they are. Their caring and love is so much that they keep putting the child first, often unhealthily because they don't let the child blossom into itself. And also they lose themselves in the process. And that isn't the idea. The idea is to expand in that process. Have this new being help you to expand into your love, not focus. So it's, in one way, it's about love. Now, I realize when I say love, that most people have an idea, their idea of what love is. And that isn't the love I'm talking about. The love I'm talking about is not about a person loving someone else, because then there's a separation. And it's not about the other person denying themselves, the person denying themselves. It's about an inclusion, as they say in the East, when the seer and seer are one. It's somehow realizing that this love is so big, it includes the other person, but it also includes ourselves. So in a way, this love isn't personal. And then, maybe I won't go into that now, but if it's gone deeper and deeper, then the whole idea of love disappears because the separation disappears and it becomes isness. There isn't a choice, there just is. Looking at how you can see that in yourself is whatever touches you deeply. So if you see a really small baby chuckling and laughing, usually something happens here. It's just a delightful feeling. Actually, with anything young, any young animal, especially when they're playing with each other and rolling around. And this is what I'm talking about. Because at that moment, you are actually empathizing with them. It's as though they're not really that separate. You're playing with them. You're having the same fun as they're having. You're having the same connection that they're having. This is what I'm talking about. And what I'm talking about is not just about you feeling good, which is very nice, very nice. Now, I'm talking about you vibrating at such a frequency that when this new energy comes, it will integrate you, and you will integrate it in such a way you'll just slip into this whole new, unexplainable thing. Unexplainable thing. When I was talking just now about this level has dropped away now for me, about connecting with the people, with anybody on the personal, even although there's still a feeling for the person, yes, they're going through things, they don't know how to get out of that, they think they're trying. As it was in the past, it felt like that was my responsibility to be available for them in every way possible, on any level, whatever. And now it feels as though that phase has passed away for me. And even although I see them struggling, there are now other people that have woken up enough to be available for them. What I see is that level of the personal is no longer appropriate for me, interesting, to have to tune into, because something else is happening. What's actually happening, I don't know. In fact, I seem to know less and less and less, and at the same time sense something more and more and more. And I'm having experiences, when I say I, it doesn't really fit. If I say we, if I say Paul, nothing really fits. I'll say I. I'm having these experiences when I'm on my own and just sitting, and usually when I'm just looking out into the trees and the fields, that first of all, it's as though everything goes into a mandala. It starts to circle. And after it's circled for a while, it starts to shimmer and vibrate. And then when it shimmers and vibrates, it's almost transparent. None of these words are accurate, but this is the close I can get to it. Transparent. And then it feels as though it's right on the edge of it all disappearing. And Paul will disappear at the same time. And now it's feeling that these things that I've heard of in the past, all is Maya, all is illusion, there is nothing out there and nothing in there. I was thinking then of what Jesus said, when you see the out as the in and the in as the out, the up as the down and the down as the up. When you see a man as a woman and a woman as a man, when thine eye be single, then will thy body be full of light, right? Vibrating, shimmering light. All the definitions melting into each other. And a sense of the unformed, the source, that we're not separate, that our struggles, our sense of self is an illusion. Not that there's been anything wrong. We designed it this way because we are the creators. We're not in the image of God. We are that creative force, and we've created this duality. My theory is we've created duality because we were taking ourselves for granted. We didn't see ourselves. We got a bit smug. And so we said, okay, let's separate that. Let's put the good and the bad and the pleasant and the unpleasant and the here and the now and the possible and the impossible and the you and the me and a man and a woman. Let's put them all separate. And then I can be this man and I can have a look at the woman in me. I can be this woman and I can have a look at the man in me. I can start to see myself as an opposite and start to appreciate myself. Start to appreciate all these incredible facets. And not only facets, but unique facets. To each one of us, we're all totally unique. We've all come together in a certain way. So I'm not seeing what we've created here as anything wrong. It's like a postgraduate course. We're here to have this experience. And as I see it, the experiment is over. It's time we start to realize, at least a percentage of us, maybe 10%, maybe 30%, start to realize and come back together again and realize that we're not separate. Some of the channeling we get from Bashar, for instance, what Melchizedek is talking about, and even one of the scientists was talking about it. I think that was Bruce Lipton was talking about it with his experiments with Petri dishes, that if you take an upset cell and put it into a healing environment, it heals itself. So this is what I've been seeing, and I haven't, I was going to say I haven't got control of this, but you can't have control of it. Oh, that's a whole other dimension. So this is not to be believed or agreed with or disagreed with, because if you do that, you're not being respectful for yourself. But just listen, just listen. Exactly the way you are right now is exactly the way you want to be right now. You have not only created it, you are perpetuating it. This is the way you want to be. You are God. So you've created this situation for yourself in two ways. One way, because this is what you need in order to see what you're not seeing. And in another way is because you just don't want to let go of the apple. You know the story about the monkey that puts its paw inside a jar and grabs the apple, and then he can't get his paw out, and he doesn't want to let go of the apple. If you want to wake up, you've got to stop holding everything. Everything. Unless you leave your father, your mothers, your sisters, your brethren, your wives and your children, you will not enter into the kingdom. It's easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than a rich man to enter into the kingdom. It's not about what you've got, it's what you're holding. It doesn't matter where you live or in what luxury or poverty, whatever you decide. It doesn't matter. It's, are you holding it? Now you see, some people hold their riches. But you go to India and you'll find some people holding their poverty. You'll see some fakirs on the road. Some of them may be real, but some of them are doing a trip. They're doing the I don't have anything trip. I don't comb my hair trip. Anything you hold on to, it doesn't matter where you are, what it is, how it is. If you're holding it, you're stuck. And you're stucking yourself. That's what you are deciding to do, rather than not holding and finding out what happens when you don't hold. You have a mechanism in you that was designed physically to keep you safe, secure, and predictable. It's not capable of doing that. That doesn't exist in this dimension. There is no safety. There is no security. There is no predictability. Everything's changing all the time, perfectly. We don't see it perfectly because we want what we want, when we want it and how we want it. And we can do that for a while, but it doesn't work. That's the misery. Desire is the misery. So anything to which we are holding is dragging us. We're dragging it, not to hold. So you are where you want to be right now. Very, very few people get this. When being as conscious as you know how, unconditionally, in each moment, is your absolute, every moment priority, you're free. Absolutely free. You've died. The thing is, Jesus was very tricky. He said, unless you die and be reborn, but you don't get reborn. You're gone. You're gone. You're part of everything. But of course, if you're part of everything, you are everything. So in one way you're there, in another way you're not there. And then how to explain that? It's unexplainable. To say it's wonderful, to say it's beautiful, to say it's blissful, they're all very silly words. They can't explain the way it is. No matter how happy you've ever been in your life, the most blissful time is nothing compared with being in the space of no thingness, time no more, no fear. When you're happy, you're usually afraid of losing it, and that's the way you start to lose it, because you start to concentrate on not losing it, so all your energy goes into losing it and not having it. The key to that is gratefulness. Complaint has a certain frequency which draws the frequency to give you more things to complain about. Gratefulness resonates at a certain energy that will bring you more and more things to be grateful about. Up to a certain point. If you're too grateful, you disconnect from the whole, because you start to forget that what you're being grateful about is what you've given to yourself and what you've let yourself have. Just look at this. When somebody says, I love you, or I'm grateful, or thank you, how far do you let it in? What you'll find is it reaches a barrier. And the barrier is the lack of respect for yourself, the lack of love for yourself. It comes there, and this person, if they really knew me, they wouldn't be saying that. They wouldn't be feeling that. But you see, especially women to men, sometimes they really, really mean it. And they know what a shit you are, and they love you anyway. They see right past all that stuff you've got about yourself. And the same with mothers with their children. Often the kids are a real pain in the ass. Most of the time they're a pain in the ass. And they love them anyway. It goes beyond the behavior. So how often do you let in? How often do you let people really give? I'm just thinking of an incident where somebody said they would make a regular donation to help us support. And we said, no. Yes. Allowing people to love you. Allowing them. It's a gift. When you love somebody and they let you love them, it's a gift to you. It's a gift to the lover. So often we feel that depth for people and they don't let it in. And it's because they get stuck at their judgment of themselves. What's the judgment of themselves? Everything that their parents, their teachers, their religious leaders, their government have said about them. They've got to match all those things before they're loving them. But these people are not happy. What are they giving us? They're giving us their standards of happiness, and they're not happy. They're saying one thing and living another. And we connect with that from the age of conception to 7 years old. We connect with that, and that becomes the screen by which we judge everything. It has to go. You need to stop holding anything you've been given, including what you're being given right now. You've got to let that go as well. And you've got to look for yourself. Unless your orientation becomes totally inclusive of this very moment, unconditionally, for your maximum potential, you'll keep going round and round on what they call in the East the wheel of samsara. Life after life after life, doing the same thing on a different level, usually with the same people. You get born into them, or you keep meeting them until you stop holding. So I keep looking at, and you'll find this, you talk to people that have, if you can find them, people that are now free. They've had their realization. Or if you can't find any, go on the web and watch them. People who are now free. I've heard somebody who spoke to the Dalai Lama has said this. He said, I can't understand why everybody isn't in this state. So I looked, how come you're not in that state? How come you don't let this thing happen? And it's to do with our conditioning, how we've been programmed. And the mind was designed to do what it's doing. And it says, if you disconnect from me, I can't take any responsibility anymore. I can't look after you. You're on your own. And you'll be in a mess. So we keep going back there until you're ready to die, to let go. Jesus said, let the dead bury the dead. Let it all go. Let everybody go. Part of what goes on in there, but if I do that, I'll be lonely because nobody else around me. And then I can see I won't want to be with most people I'm with at the moment. In fact, it's for a lot of you now, you're already seeing it's hard work to be with somebody that isn't present. To hear them chattering away about nothing, telling their stories over and over. Telling a story is one thing, but doing it automatically. Sometimes telling a story, if the person's present and saying it and living it, it's fun. Gossip can be fun like that. But when it's dead and it's said and it's done in the normal way and the normal voice and the normal energy, you're getting fed up with that. And so what goes on? But I'll be lonely. No, you won't be lonely. You won't be lonely. You're already lonely. You're already alone. You know that. You don't have that deep connection with people. But once you stop holding, you will. You will not only have the connection, you'll realize that they are not they. There is only isness. And we're all that. So you won't be lonely. In fact, when most people come into your energy, you'll feel your vibration come down. Not that you do it, it just comes down because they brought a lower level of frequency with them. And they don't know what they do. They can even be thinking they love you, or they've brought you something, or they don't realize that they're vibrating at this contracted energy, and it affects your field of energy. At the source, nothing affects the source, but you feel the outer levels come down. And if you want to talk to them, you've got to come down even more, because then when you're living in this space, we go into duality there. I was going to say, you say everything you say. In other words, no words are automatic. You are total in every single word you say. And in another way, that isn't true because you don't say anything. It says you. Something says you. You hear what you're saying at the same time as the other person. Everything is always spontaneous. You never know. I mean, you don't know the next word. And it's wonderful. It's wonderful. There is no fear of anything in any way, let alone death. Death is a joke. There's no death. It doesn't exist when you're in this space. Not only does it doesn't exist for many reasons. One reason is it doesn't matter. You either go into oblivion, and then you're not there to worry about it anyway, or you go into another level of the adventure. And when you're in this space, everything is an adventure. Everything. So there's no worry about it. That's on one level. But on another level, somehow, although you don't know it, you sense that there's no such thing as death. Nothing ever dies. Everything is that. This piece of bamboo is made of exactly the same thing as our heart. It's just vibrating at a different frequency. Everything is vibrating at a different frequency. And so are all we. We're a combination of frequencies vibrating differently. That's what makes us so unique and so fascinating. Once you're clear of fear, once you're clear of getting approval, succeeding, doing anything, having attained anything, once you're free of all that, everything becomes amusing. Watching people do their thing is an entertainment. It's not them. They are not that. That is their computer running their puppet. But there's no fear of anything. And somehow, as Bankai says, we're not born and we don't die. As Heraclitus says, there's a hidden harmony. As Lao Tzu says, the Tao, the way. We are that. We are that. You are that. You are that. And the more you think about it, the less you will realize it. It's not a thinking process. How can you stop the thinking? You can't. Don't even attempt it. Don't go to India to stop thinking. Even if you sit there for 18 hours a day, you'll just come out a zombie. Most of them come out zombies. They've been sitting there for 18 hours. Not that it's not possible that way. It doesn't work for comparatively the simple, undeveloped mind of the Eastern person. It certainly doesn't work for the Western person. We are very developed, very complicated people. We're amazing people. But trying to stop the mind. Who wants to stop the mind? The mind. You think the mind's going to stop the mind just because you've had this idea? No, the mind can't stop the mind. It's just a trick. The mind says, I'll stop the mind for you. Don't bother. Just learn and watch and disconnect. Let the mind chatter on like those crows are chattering outside. I don't know why they make that noise. They sit next to each other and they shout at each other all the time. Just like the crows. You don't listen to the crows. Don't listen to your mind. Unless it resonates in a different way. Then it's giving you a message, something practical to take care of. Take care of it so it doesn't keep bugging you. If you keep getting the same thing, it means, hey, I need to take care of that. Take care of it. And then come back to now. Be present. Be here. And let the mind go on chattering away about its whatever it is. Sabine was saying just recently, she's had the experience of being separate from the mind on 2 occasions, and they were both in an emergency. She came round the corner in her car and there was a serious accident, and she said she was fully aware that suddenly time slowed down. People were panicking, running around, going here. She parked her car. She walked back to the car that was damaged and gently spoke to the person that was trapped inside. But she said all the time she was doing it, she was aware that there was something else, that this was going on, but this was just here, just now. And she had another time when she lost control and the car spun and there were cars coming the other way. Everything slows down. Many of you have had similar things in emergencies. Suddenly, time no more, present. Well, you can live like that every moment in the indescribable state of just being. And the mind goes on, doing its thing, and you are here now. Now, when I say you, I mean you, and you, and you, and you, and you, and you. If it becomes your priority. If nothing is more important than you being present unconditionally in the moment. And that can happen when the car spins, out of control, spinning round. You can panic and you can go into survival, or you can just be there and watch what's going on. And you'll find while you're doing that, you will probably do all that's appropriate, but you won't be doing it. It will be doing it. It'll be taking care of you. And you will get what you need out of that situation. That's something else that happens in this state. In this state, you know that whatever you need will come to you. Need. Not always what you want, but what you need. Whatever you need for your unfolding will come to you. It's just up to you to be with it, whatever it is. It's not up to you to decide. In fact, you'll never make a decision again. You'll know that decisions are catastrophic. Whenever you decide with the mind, and you decide with the mind, and the mind only works in the past, how things were, and they didn't work. Otherwise, you wouldn't be making decisions. When you come into this space, you don't make a decision. You come up to a situation, and if it's either this or that, you just sit there, and suddenly one of them becomes appropriate, and the other one fades away. You don't ever have to decide anything again. And I'm talking to you from this space. I am not deciding what I'm saying. It is talking to you. And do you know what it is? It's you. You are talking to you. You are getting exactly what you need right now because you are the whole, and the whole is talking to you. Now it's up to you, because once you decided to come into this incredible place we're in, this incredible dimension, you took responsibility for being yourself. Existence has no power over you. You have got will. It's only an illusion, because whatever needs to happen will come round and round and round until you get it. But you have the illusion of free will. You can decide to do it or not to do it. It's up to you. That's the fun of this dimension. Don't take this seriously. But you see, I remember not being in this dimension. And when we looked down here, it looked a lot of fun. I mean, sex looked fun. Sometimes. Sometimes when you hear people having sex, it doesn't sound like fun. But I thought, well, I wonder what that is. Then you look at the cow, or you look at the bird, and you think, oh, I wonder what it's like to fly. But of course, you don't know if you're not in the physical. Because once you get in the physical, the agreement is you have to forget where you've come from in order to experience this. A few people don't, but most do. And then when you get here, it's not what you thought it was. But it can be. If you will stop holding every single thing in every single way, in every single moment, you'll be free and here. You'll be there and here at the same time. And it's wonderful. It's indescribably wonderful. There is no way, as Lao Tzu said, the truth cannot be said. If it's said, it's not the truth. It's not describable to the mind. But when it happens, like if you do the Satori group, for instance, you can have this point of suddenly, you know exactly what's being talked about, exactly because you are it, you're living it. And you can make yourself available for that every single moment when you make the moment your priority. This very moment. And don't take it too seriously. Did one of you that we said, did one of you want to ask something or say something?
You were talking about the heart, and then when you were just talking about not holding, and also the giving back. To me, there's something about that, so that it relates to people who might not really get what not holding is.
Okay, that's good. First of all, you can't give back. You can't give. Because you see, who you're giving to is you. It's just in a different form. But I know that's a bit nebulous. But we'll look at it in another way. If you look at nature on any level, you go down into the electron microscope, you'll see that nature's attempting to balance itself all the time. Scientists are telling us that we can only exist in a very narrow band of temperature. Very narrow can we exist. And yet, all this stuff is going on around the planet. And outside, all this stuff. And somehow, the planet stays within these tolerances. And if you look at existence, you'll keep seeing there's a balance there all the time. We go into misery when we're out of balance. Balance is divine. Balance is what is. And we go out of balance. We go out of balance in various ways. One thing, as I see it, we are born with a certain energy program. At the moment of conception, there's this incredible growth that goes on, and doubling and forming and growing and growing and growing. And then the baby comes out and it continues to grow, and it's curious and looking and experimenting and growing and growing. And then at a certain age, we stop the growth. We decide to do this or that, or go into this job or this profession, to have these children, to get married. We make this decision and we stop the growth. We make the material more of a priority than this place inside us. We have to keep growing. And if we don't grow, a stress happens inside, and that's when we get ill. That's when the immune system can't handle it anymore. And it happens as we get older, not because we get older, but as we get older, our immune system, it doesn't have as much energy. We don't have as much energy. We can't hold the stress anymore. We get ill. So that's one part of balance. We are so self-centered, so self-serving, we get out of balance. And there's a consequence. The second thing is, and what we're doing to the planet, and why we are destroying the planet, is we're taking and not giving. So we keep expanding the population, and then we have to take more from the earth. And then in Western society, it gets more complicated. And so we take more from the earth, and then we've got more junk that we have to get rid of. So we're taking and taking and taking, and we're not putting back. With the human being, it's the same thing. If you tried to give back, to balance what life has given to you, you couldn't give back a tiny bit of what life's given to you. There is no way you could ever give back to your mother what she's given to you. You can't do that. Life. She gave you life and did quite a bit of discomfort in the process. She's given you something, no matter how unpleasant she thinks and what she did to you, no matter how grateful you are, you can't compensate for that. But not only that, everything is pouring into you all the time, all the time. Just the air you breathe, the food you eat. We're being showered, we're being blessed all the time. And most people don't give anything back, anything at all. They don't even give smiles. Go to England and watch the average person walk down the street. Talk to them, complaint. My father was just a beautiful, loving being. When he was feeling really good, how you doing, Dad? Could be worse. That was when he felt good. That's how, doesn't give anything back. My mother, she died recently at 101. She said, I smile at everybody. Even when they're grumpy at me, I smile. And she says, most of them give in. They smile back. You can't give back to balance what you've been given. You can't do that. But the more you do, the better you will feel. You have a look at the people who are giving selflessly. I don't mean the people that are doing gooding. I don't mean those people that are giving back. People that naturally, they're there. Ask them anything, yes. We have two examples here. We have Tanya and Kira. They're both, I don't know how they do what they're doing. Their life is so full of appointments and this and that. But ask them anything, yes. Just yes. The more you give back, the better you will feel. Absolutely. And your heart will be activated. This part of you will start to vibrate in such a way that you will feel all the time the same way you feel when you see a baby laughing. Because, of course, you feel that when the baby laughs because you're empathizing. You are that laugh. You have that in you. It's just we've suppressed it. Loosen up. Tangibly, you'll feel the frequency, you'll feel the vibration. It's as though you've got gentle bubbles running through your bloodstream all the time. And everything's a delight. And you'll find your whole life will change. You will either go deeper and deeper into any relating that's going on, or you'll let it go because it's no longer appropriate. You'll stop struggling with it. You'll either move from your house, or you'll start doing things to it. You'll start getting rid of the things you don't like looking at and bringing in things you love looking at. You may even change your toothbrush because you don't like the look of it. And you'll start to love everything, everything. And then that's when you don't love people, you are love. That is your frequency. And there is another frequency beyond that, but that's enough to go on with for a bit.
One question, I think, about this paradox of duality and oneness. So, you're saying the brain or the makeup we are, the human body is producing duality, predicting linearity. And then there is this other dimension where it's all one. You said there is no birth, there is no death, there is no you, there is no me. But on the other side, there is a me, which is different from you. And what is the receptor, if not the mind, the brain, which can hear you without producing duality? What is the space in us which can receive world in the oneness and in the non-separation, if not the brain, the mind, the ears, the eyes, which produce separation? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. When you have a satori, when you wake up, there's no question. The question's gone. The question is only in duality. So in duality, you're saying there's here and there. But when you wake up, there isn't here and there. There is this personality doing its thing, but it's not separate. It's doing its thing, but it's not separate. And you are no longer attached to it. You're no longer trying to change it. You don't approve or disapprove. You just watch it. So there is a state, but it's not in what you call your body. It's not in the machine, but it's not in the machine. Because there isn't anything that isn't the machine, and there isn't anything that is the machine. So when we get to that level, as Lao Tzu says, there isn't a way of giving a description to it, to the part of the brain that works in duality. So you can't talk about non-duality to a system that can only work in duality. So it would be like putting a program into your computer and you don't have an application to read it. It just says, I can't do this. And we do have an application. We are that. And there's nothing you can do to get there. The only thing is you can keep seeing the part that's not there and not giving it any energy, which means you don't judge it, you don't change it, you don't reinforce it, you don't deny it, you don't do anything. You just let it be. Let it be. And then there's this switch, like you get in a Satori group. Suddenly, it's a joke. So, often the story of when somebody wakes up in Zen, they have a cup of tea.